All right, I think I fixed it. Let me know in the chat if you hear me now. Let me know in the chat if you hear me now. I heard myself, so it should be good. All right, sorry about that. Whew. Well, it's good seeing you, Little Smith. Thanks for coming. How have you been, sir? Let's get a little bit of music going. Hey, did you hear me? Let me know if there's that annoying static sound happening again. At any point of the stream, just stop me. I don't know. The previous videos, there was this annoying static noise every time I pushed my button to talk. So yeah, we'll see if it happens. If it does, I'll look into it more next time. All right. Looks like it's just you and me right now. All right, let me get my environment going. Man, it's been a long time. I might have been cleaning some code at some point. Alright, it says the server's up. Let's see how the website looks. Alright. Gotta do some configs. How's school going, Smith? Hey, if you're new to the stream, let me know in the chat if you have any questions. I haven't really started going over databases, but I'm gonna wait another few minutes. If you have questions, let me know. Alright, that's up and running. Let's see. Let's open up the code. Is this another project? I watch very little of the All-Stars. I feel like I haven't been in the loop as much. But I do plan on catching some highlights and reading up on what happened. I think Team Fire won. That's all I know so far. It's really strange because I usually watch every event. So it's just been a crazy month as far as work and life. Let me check out Reddit. Maybe I can catch up right quick while we wait. Was it any good? What do you think of the whole All-Stars? You like it? Alright, apparently there was a patch. Maybe that's old, 6 days ago. There's a new low team.
Like, they won't be standing in the right cone. Oh, whoa! He's gone to the fountain! There's no way! Oh, this is amazing! That was so perfect!
Wait, what happened?
That is a victory! That is a kill! You chose the snowball and chose your own death!
No way.
Like, they
Wait
won't
a
be
minute.
standing in the right cone. Oh,
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, this is amazing! That was so
You're kidding me.
Double F takes the win! That is a victory! That is a kill! You chose the snowball and chose your own death!
He doesn't even believe it.
Standing in the right cone. Oh, whoa!
Look
He's
at
gone
Froggy's face.
Oh, this is amazing! That was so perfect! Double F takes the win!
Wow.
That is a victory! That is a kill! You chose the snowball and chose your own death!
And I love how Remington is just getting super serious about it. You chose your own death. Oh, Remington's awesome. That's honestly the first time I see that highlight. I probably saw a Reddit thread on it. I just didn't bother checking up on what it was about. That was pretty good. No way, it happened twice. How do you fall for that 2 times? To get that, the timing is so hard. That's awesome. Guys, if you're joining just now, I haven't really started. If it's your first time, let me know. If you have any questions, I'm open to answer anything related to what I've done from day one to now. So I will spend time helping you catch up. So don't be shy. Dang. Yeah, hopefully I can catch some highlights on this Reddit. Reddit is getting bombed right now. Yep, so they have videos I will be catching over lunch at work or whenever I have time. Oh, yep, Reddit's not doing so good right now. I would definitely check them out. Alright, what's going on? I gotta update this. Here we go. Alright, so just because I'm hosting this locally, I don't really care what my password is. So I just set it to root. Let me see if that does it. No. Maybe I should restart my SQL server. Database service. Maybe it's my username. This is strange. I might have been playing around with the config files a couple weeks ago when I was working on another project. Let's see, projects and doubles game is also good. I will check that out. It might be that this is just off, that's all. So let me check one of my other projects. If you guys are gonna be watching this on YouTube, I'm just setting up my database right quick, and I'll go over what I did. Alright, so the password is 123. Maybe not. Alright, so I think I need to redo my whole installation of this, starting from scratch, and I'm not gonna be. How do I just reset? Alright, just bear with me here. Murkot, Sal, you're back. Hey, how's life, Sal? Life's busy, but I'm doing well, man. It's good to see you. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out why my PHP admin doesn't let me in. How are you, though? It's good to see you again. Alright, so my password was 123. Okay. Cool, now I can start. So if you have XAMPP installed, guys, just go ahead and start your MySQL service. And I think right off the bat, you should be able to type in localhost PHP myadmin, and this should come up. If one of you guys on the chat wants to try that right quick, and let me know if it worked. Rough semester? You only have a couple more days, I bet. You probably have finals too. And yeah, if one of you let me know if this worked once you started the MySQL service. I see Satanizer in the chat here, but he hasn't said a word. It's good to see you anyway. Alright. And then I got some exciting things to tell you guys of what I've done lately. Alright, cool. So yeah, from here, this is just like a GUI interface to the MySQL service. Traditionally though, everything I can do in this page here or GUI, I can do it through the command line. If you're on a Linux machine, for example, just a sec. So here I have a Ubuntu image. Traditionally, though, like I said, a lot of people just I'm gonna use this PHP MyAdmin tool. Wow, in 7 hours. Do you feel you're ready for them? I mean, I'd be studying if I were you. Unless the class is easy. Hey, and guys, let me know if at any time of the stream, if there's static when I'm talking, anything that might come off annoying. On YouTube, I'll get comments complaining about that, so I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Huh, that's strange. Yeah, it might happen again. Sorry about the poof. People know about this because I haven't seen anyone post it on Reddit. But I was at a hackathon not too long ago. Were you, Merka, were you the guy asking me about hackathons and how you want to get involved? Or you had your first hackathon not too long ago? Was that you? And it was one hell of a trip. It's okay that you didn't win. What matters is that you gain experience and you hopefully made some connections. Maybe it's my VM. Alright, is that fixed? I think it was a virtual machine. I was just going to show you guys what the MySQL service looks through the terminal. If you guys want to go into that, then just Google how to do it. But again, for this project, I'm going to use PHP MyAdmin. Let me know if now you guys understand me, if it's not being cut off. Because I think what was happening, I was clicking in the VM window and then my push to talk button wasn't being triggered. Okay, so I was saying that exactly 1 month ago, I was out in LA for Riot Games' first hackathon. Um, it was a pilot, so they kept it low key. They didn't let us talk about it until now. But they had 33 of us programmers from the community. Some of the people there either had won first or second place in the API challenges, and then a couple other people were involved in the forum or just helping out the community, like me. That's the only reason I got invited, because of this Twitch streams. So I was completely surprised that it was even happening. Like, I just got an email one day and I'm like, holy crap, cool, I'm definitely gonna go. And yeah, and it was awesome, and I got some cool things to show you guys. I will eventually show you the project I worked on. I don't know if I'll have time to show you guys today, but definitely next stream. I think you guys will like it. And unfortunately, I did not win, but I'm proud to say that our project actually had a lot of people talking. A lot of people liked it. But other than that, it was just really fun being there. Let me show you guys some pictures. Alright, let's see. The creator of Loking? I don't think so, but the creator of champion.gg was there, the creator of replay.gg, and there might have been another person of one of the top sites. But yeah, it was cool that I got to meet the guy who works on replay.gg. That guy is like freaking... That guy just has quite a character, man. He's pretty funny and cool. He was playing the project I did, and just the things he was saying, it's like, wow, this kid's brilliant. But op.gg, no, because I think op.gg, whoever made that, is in Korea, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to show you guys pictures that I have, because I don't want to disrespect any of the people I worked or that were at the event. I don't want to show their face without their permission. So let's see here. Alright, this is me being a clown in front of the Tibbers Annie statue. The way I was thinking, I'll just lay here like if Annie just ulted and melted me and pretend like I'm dead. That was the idea, although it doesn't look as funny as I thought it would be. But this is at the entrance of Riot HQ. They have this cool thing, and I guess it travels to all the major events. They actually carry this out of the building and into a plane. That's gotta be a pain in the ass. Let's see. Got more pictures here. Yeah, they actually didn't even let us take pictures. They gave us a tour, but they actually had someone else taking pictures for everyone. And then it took about 3 weeks just to make sure there weren't any pictures that showed anything they didn't want us showing to the rest of the world. So these pictures were carefully selected. Alright, I don't think these guys are going to be mad I'm showing their picture, but this is me. This is one of my teammates, Tony. And this is one of the writers trying out the project we worked on. And basically, the last day, it was a 3-day event. We spent. All right, so we got there on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we had like a tour in the morning. Around 2 p.m., we officially started hacking or programming after everyone determined the teams and whatnot. And then by Friday, so Wednesday 2 p.m. to Friday around 12, I think, we officially were done coding, or everyone was supposed to be done. Then we spent like 2 hours getting ready for a science fair, is what they call it, where basically each team set up a table, and we opened up the whole room to all the Riot employees to come check out all the projects we worked on. And that was what was going on here. Just someone stopped at our table and they're like, "Oh, let me check out what you guys did." I cannot leak new champs. And by the way, they didn't give us information like that. We did get to speak to, or actually, somebody that works in the Valens team, who determines what needs to be Valens. Either the lead, I think he's the lead guy in that group. He gave a presentation early Wednesday. So they did give us, or inform us, or showed us a couple things they do internally when it comes to decision making and what languages and tools they use. They went over all that before we started hacking, but they didn't really give us any cool insight that, you know, we can go out and tell our friends like, "Oh, guess what, this is happening." There wasn't anything like that. Morello, no. It was not him. It was actually some other guy that's never been on any of the videos, I think. So the project we worked on, I'm going to show you guys a picture of it. Give me a second. Oh, this is me in front of the Riot HQ building in LA, Santa Monica. It's a really nice town or city. This is me in Venice Beach, which was maybe 15-20 minutes away from the hotel we stayed at. Nice, almost looks like a desert, but man, it's really nice out there. Alright, so the project we worked on, that's what I'm trying to find a picture of. Alright, so can you guess what? Oh, this is a video. Let me play this video out with no sound. So this is our project. You guys could probably, yeah, it was all paid for. And they flew people out from across the globe, dude. Like, my teammate was from Hong Kong. We had one of my teammates from Hong Kong, and then the other two were from England. Really funny guys, and they were all cool. Then we had people from Australia, Germany, Canada, and South America from Colombia. So if you guys are watching the video, you already know what we did. They encouraged us to challenge ourselves, do something out of the ordinary. So my teammates and I decided to do a League of Legends card game. That is not any... It's a card game, so it's like Hearthstone. This game actually turned out really fun, and like my teammates and I are trying to get this done so we can have it uploaded on a site and it works well. The issue right now is having this scale for, you know, multiple games at a time, and that's the problem we're having right now. It's actually on my plate to get this working for multiple people so they can play with their friends. Right now, you can only have one person play another person via the browser. So yeah, this game, this card game, we basically loaded up 16 champions, and we gave them all unique stats and either an ultimate or a passive. So for example, right here, this player has Morgana. Morgana has a basic attack that does 4 damage, and she also has 10 health. And she also has an ultimate. And each ultimate has the cooldown is based on how many turns. So after I play this card, I have to wait 5 turns before I can use her ult. And basically the way we design her ult is similar to the game. Once she uses her ult, I think we give it like a 50-60% chance that it stuns all the other cards on the opponent's hand. And what happens is that if you do get the stun, there's like animation that happens. Right there, that flip animation is what that means is that card was just attacking another card. And then if you look here, this is like your Nexus health. You win by eventually destroying your opponent's Nexus health. But you can directly attack the Nexus. The way you inflict damage on the Nexus is based on how many more cards you have on the field at the end of the turn. So if I have one extra card, if this person has 4 cards and then this player has 3 cards at the end of the turn, I'm gonna inflict 1 damage on the opponent. So that kind of makes the game where you're always attacking the other person's cards, and it makes it focus on just, like I said, attacking cards. But that kind of helps the game be more in depth in a way, because cards do counter other cards, you know, like you can't just play a card with high damage and expect that you're going to win the game just by inflicting all that damage on the Nexus. You can't attack the Nexus, you can only attack other cards. So I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but the game actually turned out pretty fun for something we put together in, you know, less than 36 hours, I guess. This is not Unity, this is all web-based. So the front end is done in Angular JS. Then the animations are just CSS. And the back end is Node.js. And some PHP. And we also use MySQL for the database. But we don't use the database that much at all, actually. Here's a cool picture of me and Freak. So yeah, again, I was just so lucky to go out there, and man, was it fun. And how can you be invited to the next one? Just get involved in the community. You know, participate in the API challenges. If not, then just do something unique, you know, help out in the forums. There's always people asking questions. And just get yourself out there, you know. And there's a video of Rivington playing the game with someone else, but I need to ask somebody permission before I put that one up. So yeah, we do plan on actually finishing the game. Right now, what's holding us back is that you can't have multiple games going on at the same time. You can only have one game where you have one player versus another player. So yeah, and that's where I got this cool t-shirt. Yeah, Freak is super nice guy. All those guys are super humble. Rivington, Freak, um, Crepo was on campus too, although I didn't have any interaction with him. But from what I heard other people say, he was pretty cool too. Yep, HTML5. And the team of writers that put together the API and organized all the challenges and making sure that we have an API, all those, each individual of those, engineers are really cool, nice, and smart. So yeah, get involved. Go in the forums and just participate in conversations about the API. So hopefully by next year, I'm sure that they're gonna keep doing hackathons. Again, this was just a pilot, the first hackathon. I'm sure it's gonna get bigger, Not that anyone told me this, but the way I envision this growing, I can see this being an event that's open to a lot more people, where anyone can go, but they probably make it where you'd have to pay on your own. So who knows? In a couple years, if you guys are still working with the API, then you can go to the hackathon. Dude, it's funny because there were so many good engineers that they invited, so many good programmers. Like I was nothing compared to some of the guys there. So and I think a lot of people had that vibe where they're like so impressed by everyone else around them that they're just there to like have fun and enjoy it as much as you can. Because I think if you go to the hackathon and you're just feeling super competitive and like, oh, you want to top everyone else, I think you miss out on a lot of the valuable things you can gain from the whole thing. So everyone there was super nice. No one was trying to outdo anyone really. And the way the whole thing was laid out, especially with first prize, they purposely made the event be not super competitive. For example, first place prize didn't win money. All they got was like a plaque saying that they won first place. Because they didn't want to make it again competitive. They didn't want to make money be a thing, or like offering a job if you won. Imagine if they did that, everyone would hate each other. Oh, if your app wins first place, we're gonna look at your resume or something. There was none of that. Although a couple people knew, I mean, I'm sure most of us or the people there knew that there was maybe some small play of recruitment on their side. If there was any, they did a good job not to show it. But most of it, the whole purpose of the event was for them to kind of put together a pilot, get a feel for how it went, get back some feedback. Like they asked us a bunch of questions after the event, like what can they do to make it better. So there was more of that going on than than, you know, a super competitive hackathon like the ones you find at universities. It was not like that at all. It was really just fun. Everyone was cool. That's all I have to say. The other projects that people worked on. All right, so there was one project that was done in Unity where they took all the art from the actual game and recreated it in Unity. I didn't play that game and I don't remember all the details of what you do in the game, but what that team did looked really cool, you know. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that project. That's another team. There was a couple projects based on the upcoming tournament API. I don't know if you guys heard of, but the API team is releasing an endpoint for setting up tournaments. So there was maybe 3 or 4 projects that were based around that. Then there was my team. We made the card game. My team, when we were debating what to do, we also had the possibility to make, you know, the tournament site using the new API. That was one of our options, but again, we wanted to be different in a way, so we went with the card game. And believe me, there was one point on Thursday, we had maybe 12 hours left, where we hit a wall and we're like, we all knew deep inside that, crap, we messed up and now it's too late to even start up a new project. So we lost hope for a bit, but luckily things worked out. We ended up solving the issue and things played out well at the end. Like that moment where we're all like a bit depressed was so worth it, because the next day when we actually saw the finished product and when we saw like how much fun people were having playing the card game, it was awesome. It was a good feeling. So everything went well as far as our project. And then there was one site or one project that was kind of like a League of Legends coach. It will look at your data and analyze what champions you play. It would say like things like, oh, you're playing Jinx too much, maybe you should try this champion, and a bunch of other features. I don't remember all of them, but the idea was that it behaved like an actual live coach, where it tried to put you in good shape based on your history of games or whatever. So let me see the chat here. So wheelchair hell, Sal, I'm a student doing computer science in university at the moment. Should I learn tons of languages, or do you believe I'll be fine with Java? I think you'll be fine with Java, but I think you'll be better off if you also learn C++. For me, I started off in college, the first language I ever learned was C++, and then C, and then eventually, like junior year, I had a class where the teacher let us use any language, and I chose to go with Java, mostly because Eclipse is just such a helpful IDE when it comes to suggesting methods and whatnot. It's really hard to get syntax errors in Eclipse with Java. But my transition from C to Java went really smooth. Like, I felt like I already knew it in a way. And it sucks because I don't know what it's like to just learn Java and then go to another language. I don't know if it's the same feeling as going from C to Java. Like I just said, when I went from C to Java, it's like I already knew Java. So I recommend those two languages. You already know Java, I recommend you pick up C just for the heck of it. It won't take you long if you've been doing Java for that long. Once you have those two languages, the rest is really just working on projects on your own. Build something just for your own edification and slowly pick up things, you know. If you're going to do web, pick up JavaScript. I don't know what you're going to end up doing after college. That's completely up to you. I mean, you might do game design, you might do embedded systems. But if you're going to do web, just because my streams, what I'm showing people is how to do web development, pick up JavaScript, because JavaScript is actually a really powerful language in today's age, although it's soon might be replaced with TypeScript or some other the future of JavaScript is coming soon, so keep in mind it's going to change. One of the things I remember they focused while I was a student is lifelong learning. Like, don't stick to just one language. Make yourself be adaptable. Don't always settle and become complacent on what you know. Always challenge yourself. So I guess the big answer is challenge yourself, learn more languages. But for now, make sure you at least know C and Java. So I hope that answered your question. I don't care. I just want a job. Let's see. How do you fix the XAMPP Skype port clash again? Anyone want to remember? How I fixed the XAMPP? I had to go in the XAMPP PHP my admin folder, and then I opened up config. This config file here, config.inc.php, and I had to set the password to 123 because a couple weeks ago, while I was working on the card game, I had changed the default password to phpMyAdmin or to MySQL to something else, and I completely forgot. But if you're just running XAMPP for the first time and you start the MySQL service, it should work right away without you having to set any passwords. Ruby on Rails versus PHP versus Node.js. So I might be biased because I know PHP and I've been doing that for longer than anything else. So I might be biased. So what my answer is going to be is that you should just pick whatever makes more sense for whatever project you're building on. You know, each language, although you can solve everything with any language, sometimes it might make more sense to choose one language over another. So for example, with Node.js, one of the things Node.js is big on is how to explain this. The first time I tried to explain this, but basically I remember reading this. Node.js is big on single thread applications that kind of behave like as if you're running like a multi-thread application. So what that means is that in Node.js you might hit a function that needs to calculate something, but while that function is calculating or crunching data, your code can continue further on your code can do other things while you have this function that's waiting for a result. And I'm a loss for words here, but there's a word for that. It's similar to JavaScript. I don't know if you guys remember. In my code, you'll see a lot of this. Let me show you. You'll see a lot of, for example, here we go, .10. And if you can see that, let me zoom in. Promises, if you guys haven't learned about that, just Google it right quick. Uh, Promises is like I was explaining. You'll have a couple lines of code, and usually how code works is that it starts at the top, ends at the bottom. But with JavaScript, you can set up promises where you'll execute your code top to bottom. So for example, for this controller, this executes in that fashion, top to bottom. But when it gets to this summoner get profile function, I'm acknowledging that this get profiles function, it's not going to be immediately. And I don't want my code to hang up while it's waiting for this result. Only because I don't know how long my backend, my server, is going to take to crunch that data out. So I don't want to freeze the page just because it's still loading. So what happens is that using the promise method of developing, I can tell my JavaScript that, continue with the rest of this page. And when I do get a response back from the server, I'm going to tell the compiler, hey, come back up here, crunch this out. And that's what happens in this function right here. When this response is done doing its logic, JavaScript is going to jump back here and execute whatever's in here. So it's probably a bad way to explain this. Don't take my word for it. Definitely Google it. But the reason I'm going into that is because Node.js is the same way. In Node.js, you'll see a lot of JavaScript-like promises where you can do multi-parallelism execution. I think that's the word. Where you can tell the server to start working on something, but you can move on and work on something else at the same time. And the reason that's convenient is because you don't really have to worry about creating multiple threads. If you guys haven't gone into threads in your programming classes, you'll get there eventually. But to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let me tell you about one of the first projects I coded in college. And it was actually mind-blowing. Once I realized what I did, I felt stronger about being a programmer. So let me go into this story. So for one of my classes, for my final project, this was a C class, C++. Our final project, we could build whatever we want. I chose to build a piano interface where basically you have a GUI with keys on there, and each time you press a key, you play a sound. At that time, I didn't know about multi-threading. So the way my program worked, logically, you have this GUI with buttons, and each time you press a button, you tell the code to run some function. So what that piano ended up looking like was basically a piano where if you pressed a key, it was going to play a sound, and the whole GUI interface will freeze until that sound was done playing. So like if I pressed a key and the sound was 5 seconds, I think I had a bunch of like MP3 files that each were about a second. My program was pretty much unresponsive for that 1 second while the sound was playing, if that makes any sense. And it makes sense because eventually it's going to make sense if you think about it. Because in your code, the way you start learning is kind of like sequential logic where, like I said, you start from top to bottom. You don't go from, here to here at the same time. Like you guys don't learn that yet. So maybe a year after I built that project, I learned how to do threads in Java. And I remember like having this epiphany where, I remember when I made the piano, if I knew how to do threads, I could have made my piano where if I press a key, I can have the sound play, but my GUI will still be active and I can actually play another key and maybe have 2 sound files play at the same time. So when it comes to web development, you don't really have multi-threading with languages like PHP, although there's probably some hacky way to do it, or maybe there's a module you could install to do it. With just PHP plain out the box, there really isn't a way. Mostly because you don't really need to ever do that when it comes to most of the things you design in web development. Like, there's never a case where you need something to be multi-threads, where you need to have multiple things being crunched out. It rarely happens, or actually it never happens. Like where I work at, I don't ever have to worry about that. But with Node.js, it's like you have that power in your default package. I can make my backend kind of behave like it's running multiple threads, although it's not. And that's my really long, super bad explanation of threads and Node.js. Let me see, there's another question. Does Riot pay you the big bucks? No, I don't work at Riot. And I think their salaries are available on Glassdoor. And I don't really know much beyond that. But then if you wanted to press both piano keys, exactly. So that's what happened. Thoughts on Ruby on Rails? I actually never done Ruby on Rails. I know that a lot of people prefer it over PHP. And it is the, weapon of choice nowadays. Although people are going with Node.js more. I don't know. Ruby on Rails, definitely worth checking out. I probably should do that eventually. But yeah, I just haven't really done any Ruby to give you a good answer. I've done a lot of PHP, I've done a lot of Java, and I've done a little of Node. Man, I haven't really even gone over setting up the database. I didn't want to stream for that long. So I should start boring you guys with database stuff. So, if I may start here, if you have any more questions, go ahead. At any time, I'll answer them. I'll have to check out the Code Academy tutorial on Ruby. From what I understand, Ruby on Rails, the syntax is completely different from PHP and Java and C. It's like a complete different style of syntax. I don't know, I might be wrong. Yeah, but I know at some point I'm gonna check out Ruby, and I'm like way overdue. I probably should have done it years ago. So many things I need to check out. But again, going back to this, start your MySQL service on XAMPP, and then on your browser, go to localhost phpMyAdmin. What I want you to do next is click on databases. We're going to create a database, and let's call it Angular. No, it doesn't have to be long, rather. Let's just make it something short. A low app will probably do. Firebase, yeah. I kept bringing up Firebase at the hackathon to my teammates. I didn't want to sound like so decisive and say like, oh, we need to use Firebase. I kind of just, passively brought it up a couple of times, like, oh yeah, you can do this and that. But nice, yeah. Like Firebase is so easy to get something going. That's what I love about it. But if you have someone on your team that knows Node, you don't need Firebase that much. Because Node with the socket.io module, you can have your web server behave like Firebase. Although, scaling comes into question, like you probably need a lot of resources. to have something scale up when you have an app that, you know, requires live transfer of data all the time. And the way Firebase does it is so just so clean and so easy. But it's expensive. Like if you have a business idea and you want to use Firebase, like make sure you're actually profitable, where you can afford your Firebase subscription, because it gets pretty expensive as you scale up. Which, you know, if you have a platform that makes a lot of money, it's probably minimal, and it probably in the long runs comes out being cheaper, and yeah, it probably comes out being cheaper. Who knows? I've never actually used Firebase and Rio business applications just for fun. But for Hackathon, they have a free starter package where they have enough connections and your database. I think they give you 10 gigs for free. That's way more than enough to create a hackathon project. I thought Google bought Firebase. Last time I checked, Google bought it. I know Twitch uses Firebase. That much I know. Yeah, tell me. Oh, the kappa meant that you were joking. But I might be wrong. I was hoping you were gonna correct me or correct yourself and say, "Oh, you're right," because I don't know. That's the last thing I heard. And I remember reading the news. Oh, Google bought Firebase. Hopefully, they make it cheaper now, since they're such a big company. But I don't think they plan on doing that. I'm trying to find pictures of my laptop. I have stickers on it that say Firebase. Did you get cool stickers? Yep, I can't find my laptop. I think I show you guys one of the streams. I show you all the stickers I got. I forgot. Never mind. Yeah, hopefully you got cool stickers. Alright, so if you guys were following what I did here on PHPMyAdmin, we should have a database called LOAP. So now this is where it gets tricky. We gotta design our database. And not gonna lie, I've been pondering on how to do this for a long time. Ever since I started doing this stream. Like, how do I lay out the database so that it makes sense and it scales? Like, I don't want to just make something sloppy that doesn't end up making sense at all towards the end of the project. AngularJS stickers, nice. I wish I got some of those. I had to order mine online from a website, but I guess you guys had a team of Google engineers trying to promote AngularJS there. Did you guys use Angular 2.0 or just the last stable version, which I think is 1.4, 1.5 maybe? What did you make? How about you tell me that? while I start coding some SQL here. All right, so again, I've been debating, questioning myself how to implement the database for storing game data. And I came to the conclusion that the best thing I can do is just go ahead and make something. The sooner I fail, the better it is going to be later on. Like, we're all going to learn from this experience here, because this is actually something I have not done in previous projects. So here we go. And this is something I learned from the hackathon. There's actually one of the speakers at Riot HQ spoke to us about participating in a hackathon, and the best tip he gave us was the sooner you fail, the better. Meaning, it's great to have a bunch of ideas and different ways to implement something. It's more about actually doing it, and then if it breaks, learning from it, and then fixing those mistakes and actually build up your platform to be more stable in the long run, as opposed to only having one or two ideas, picking one of the ideas, and because you didn't have that many options, you stick to your guts and you just stick to this one blueprint, and then a couple years later you realize that your whole foundation is crap, and then it all falls apart. So this might happen to us. Who knows? It won't happen to us. I'm going to make sure that I consider all the options. But right now, unless you guys on the chat have a better idea, I think what I can implement now and make sense is the way I'm envisioning it right now is to have two separate databases. One database is going to contain all the games only once, so I imagine each game has a game ID. That's going to be the key. And then I'm going to have a separate table that contains all the players. It's going to contain game data for all the players. So what this table is going to look like, you'll have basically everyone that plays LoL. Although it might make sense to maybe separate or create different tables for each region when it comes to that table purpose. But I think for sure there should be one table with all the game IDs, and that should be unique. And then the other table is going to have all the players' games, but you might have, or you'll have roles that are connected to the same game ID. It'll just be a role for information for this player, if that makes any sense. I can see that. All right, not to brag, but that's a feasible project and a great idea. I wonder where you guys got stuck. Which is okay if you did. I mean, maybe your team was composed of like freshman, junior, which is great. It's like I said, like the sooner you fail, the better it's gonna be. Even when it comes to long term, you failed this hackathon, but your next hackathon, you're gonna look back and not make the same mistakes. So, like, where did you fail? Like, what did you guys not get over? Because that's definitely a feasible project in Ionic and JavaScript. Because GPS coordinates, there's Cordova plugins for that. I think there's a Cordova plugin for Google Maps. If not, I'm pretty sure there's a JavaScript Angular. There's an Angular JS module for Google Maps that I've actually used before. So yeah, that's okay. I still think that's a great idea though. So, I mean, imagine if there was an app where it was open to anyone, and basically this app just lets people know where the public buses are. It's like you don't have to depend on having the drivers provide that information. It'll be like a user-based app where me, as someone who goes on the bus every day, I'll just flip on the app and I'll just have it broadcast where this bus is, so that another person using the app can see, like, oh, this guy is riding the bus and is at this point in the map. I guess what I'm saying, like, I can see that working without having to rely on the actual public transportation decision makers. Because first you got to convince them, like, hey, you guys should use our solution. Although it'd probably be better if they made their own solution for that. But it could also be just you know what I mean. So yeah, let me know where you got stuck and I'll keep talking about it, but I will continue on with the sequel here. So I hope that makes sense when I was talking about what database tables we need. I'll be right back, guys. All right, so let's create our first table. And the first table we're going to create is the table that contains all the game IDs. So before I do that, let me log into the API portal. What have I done? All right, API portal. Basically what I want to look at is what data I get back from the match API endpoint. I know, one, I need the game ID, but there might be other fields I can pull and store. So let's see. I guess I could run this, but I don't really need to run it because it should show me all the data I get back. So this match list, this returns. Basically the whole idea is for the user to log in their own account, then once logged in, pick their favorites bus stop, which stores into their data. Then the bus tracking begins and gives a predicted time when bus arrives. but we need trackers for that to work. Yeah, you can eventually gather an update to calculate averages. What do you mean by trackers for that to work? Because technically, the tracker will be the person's phone. That's the way I understood your project. Maybe I misunderstood it. The way I thought the app, you know, I get on the bus, I turn on the app. Or I get to the bus stop, I turn the app on so I can see the bus is coming. Then I get on the bus, I sit down and leave the app on just so I can broadcast where this bus is located. And then that's it. And I guess the way you can encourage people to broadcast where the bus they're on is at, maybe you can do some sort of reward system where people get points for broadcasting bus locations. So the success of the app is completely dependent on people contributing to that live feedback of bus locations. It's like WhatsApp. Like I love how you can see if there's a speed trap, a cop waiting to, you know, see if you're speeding. That's like all completely based on users providing data for other users. Yeah, that's a great idea for an app. Alright, so what I'm looking for is to see if there's other field types I can put in this database. Alright, so let's get going. Alright, so let's see next bus. Let's see how this website works. So let's see. They don't have Detroit on here. This is only for San Francisco? Huh. This is not where I'm at. I want to pretend like I'm trying to get to traveling from or to Santa Monica. I did get an Uber across LA. Man, so much traffic. What is it, like 17 million people live in LA? I probably overshot that number by a lot. Yeah, 4 million. I don't know where I heard 17 million. That would be ridiculous. But yeah, 4 million people is a lot of people. So yeah, tons of traffic. Is the bus worth traveling on in LA? I don't know. But either way, apparently this app just shows me the route. Doesn't really show me the actual location of the bus. But it does give me an estimate of of when it's gonna arrive. Is that what this 28 minutes signify? But yeah, this is cool. I guess that's where it'll get complicated. Say if you have people, so for example me, I'll be at the the bus stop, and I'll specify where I'm heading and what bus I'm taking. Then as soon as I get on the bus, the app is going to be smart enough to know that, hey, he's on the bus and the bus is actively moving. Then there might be people at the next bus stop that also have the app. They can see where the bus is at. But say if there's no one on that bus that's using the app, you can make an algorithm to give estimates of where the bus is at based on the last time you actually gathered data from the app or a user. But that will get pretty complicated when you start trying to guess where the bus is actually located. And I like to see how accurate this website is, especially this estimate of 27 minutes. Like, what's the window here? Are we talking like plus or minus 5 minutes from what's estimated? That what will make your idea challenging, but at the same time fun, and definitely something you can make at a hackathon. That's awesome. Alright, so let's create our first table here, guys. And sometimes I still have to cheat and pull up just reference for some of these things because I don't want to screw this up. So my create table syntax is going to look like this. I recommend you also Google MySQL create table syntax just so you can read more examples. So this table, let's call it I'm just going to call it what this endpoint is called, which is just match list. Or maybe not. Let's see, what would be a more appropriate name? I'm just going to call it games. Alright, then we specify the columns in here. So my unique key is going to be the game ID, of course, and it doesn't need any auto increment triggers for sure, but let me see here what they call it. Just match ID. So I'm going to make mine match ID. Match ID, and it's going to be an int. I think int 11 is the max amount. Not null. Okay. So that's the match ID. I guess the next thing we can put on here is the timestamp. Basically just borrow from the documentation here, which makes sense, you know. And this timestamp, how many characters is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the timestamp, it was just gonna be the type is gonna be timestamp. Which I think is just timestamp. Hopefully my SQL knowledge is not failing me. Let me do a quick search. I'm pretty sure that's the type. I feel like I should know this, but I just rarely do MySQL. Oh, okay, it's just timestamp together. Alright, so timestamp, region for sure. I'm just gonna guess that the max. I'm gonna do bar and just set the max to 5. Hopefully there's no region that's ever gonna have 5 characters. Let's do 4. Also not null. What not null is gonna make it where if there's ever an insert, if the application ever tries to insert a row where the region is null, it's just not gonna let it because it doesn't make sense. Like that region's always provided. Same with timestamp, always provided, and same with the match ID. You cannot have a row without this these columns being inserted. So yeah, I'm just gonna borrow all of these things from here. Like this season, I can see that also being data. I can crunch Q type. All right, Q season. Hey, why not? And I'm just gonna trust that the API always provides consistent IDs for the season. Like preseason 2016 is designated just for that season. I didn't have to say that, but you guys know what I mean. Same to you, man. It's good talking to you, and yeah, I hope to see you again, dude. Like I'm sure you'll be here next time. We'll talk more. Happy holidays to you too. Thanks for tuning in, man. I really appreciate it. And we can talk more about the app you guys try to build next time too. I don't know if you're still trying to build it, but I'm sure I can give you some insight if you ever get stuck. Alright, so season also not null. We got the role. We don't need that. At least in this table. You guys will see what I'm trying to do here. Alright, so that's from the match list. Let's see what this provides. This one provides the most recent games, but let me see if there's anything on here that I can put on this table. Alright, I don't see anything. Alright, I think that does it. Yeah, I had the W3 schools guide here, just in case I mess something up. But yeah, my SQL code is it's not that hard to find help online if you ever have a question about how to do something. So all right, so let's see if I run this, what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hit go. Error. Alright, so I think I'm using the wrong, maybe this is bar car. Alright, so yeah, that's the issue because this one's not complaining. Alright, that worked. So now if I go to database low apps, I should see a table called games. And my type is enodb, which is good. This is what we want. That I do know which engine is best for certain things. enodb is nowadays preferred because if you think about how database tables work, it's not just about reading and inserting. There needs to be a way to govern multiple people trying to access a table or multiple functions in your code. There has to be some governed logic like concurrency. You can't just do an insert and at the same time have someone else trying to select. What if while they're selecting, they're not getting the last row I inserted, you know? So there has to be a queue logic and priorities, like if someone's trying to execute an insert or if someone's trying to do a select, what gets prioritized. I don't recall top of my head which one has the highest priority, although it might be select statements. It might be the other way around. Either way, that's all based on your engine type, your table engine type, which I think the two most popular ones are MyISAM and enodb. And the two big differences about these two engine types is that MyISAM, I might be pronouncing that wrong. MyISAM, what happens with MyISAM is that if you're doing a select, and you might have the select that's really unoptimized, takes a long time just to select all this data. What MyISAM is going to do is going to lock that table so that no other process, no other user, no other MySQL code tries to execute a function on that table. It gets locked until you're done selecting. So if you have somebody doing a giant select statement, if someone else executes code that tells this table to update a row or maybe insert, those two processes are going to get put on hold until your giant select statement is done. I might be saying this the wrong way. It might be while somebody's trying to do an update, your select is put on hold. If you're in the chat, if you know better, correct me. But MyISAM, the issue with it is that it locks the entire table. enodb is different in that it only locks individual rows. So that allows multiple processes to execute as long as they're not interfering with the same row. They can be, concurrent in that nature. Although MyISAM is quicker with select statements in general, the speed of select statements, and there's also a couple other minor differences. Like I think with the count, it's more optimized in MyISAM. I forget. There's pros and cons, and you always have to ask yourself, what is the table for and how is it going to be used? Are you always going to be selecting, or are you always going to be inserting? But doesn't really matter right now. What does matter is that this table type is engine. The engine type is enodb, and that gives me a peace of mind as the project scales. So I recommend reading up on engine types for MySQL. I'm sure it'll look good in an interview if you can explain what I just said. So that's done. I have my table games. There's really no data in here yet, but we will soon. The next table I want to make, and this is the last one I'm going to make for today because I'm just going to start out slow. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to do create table. Game user stats. Okay, so that's done. Alright, so I probably should have, along with the game ID, I probably should have just gave it an ID to the other table we made. So I will go back and change that. But that allows me to have a way to reference a row other than by the game ID. Sorry. And then this game ID is going to be the game ID provided from the API. Not auto increment. Alright guys, I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to wrap this up really soon. Alright, game ID, and then let's see. Also need player ID. Alright guys, and what I want to do for this table is I want to take all these stats and actually make a column. I want to make a column for each one of these name types or statistics. So for example, I will make a column called assists. Before I do that, I want to also the champion ID. I already have the summoner ID. That's you know, what identifies you as a user. The team ID might also help. There's also like a game date or the game time when it started. Somewhere in here that's specified. The map type. There is a ton of things in here that I need. And then once I got what I just mentioned down here, then I'll need the stats like assists, basically everything I see here. It's gonna make our PHP code like really long, especially for when we do these inserts, but it's gonna be worth it because we'll be able to do more analytics down the road once we have all this data compiled in our database. will be easily be able to, like I said, do stats and get analytics based on something specific. So say if I wanted to calculate like average assists, this is probably a useless stat, but say if I wanted to calculate what's the average amount of assists for a map type like just Summoner's Rift, I can easily write a SQL to do that. So that's what we want to do. So this part of this project, me going through this, it's gonna take a while, and I'm actually running out of time now. So what I'll do, I'll stream again sometime this week, and I'll make sure I'll have the create table script done so that you guys can just copy and paste the SQL and quickly create your own, table on your side, which won't take long. I think that's better than me sitting through here and coding all these. I would do it, but it's 11 o'clock and yeah, so that's all the time I got for today. So I hope I went over a lot of things. Let me just create this for now. Yeah, I hope I answered questions and give you guys cool insight on what I've done lately. I'm going to create that for now, and then eventually I will alter this table and I will add more columns. But I think this is a good place to stop. It's not done, but it should give you a good idea of what I'm going to do next time. And also next time, once we have those tables created, we'll dive into the PHP code that inserts the data. And we also have to set up a logic where each time we pull a profile, we first want to check the database to see if we have any data, game data on this person. If not, then hit the API. We get stuff from the API, and then we're going to push it to the database. And then the page will show up, so that next time that the user, say if they hit refresh on their own profile, instead of hitting the API and using a token, we just hit our database and pull that data. And we're going to be combining both tables here, where, for example, when you're loading a profile, we're going to hit this game user stats table, and we're going to pull all the rows where the summoner ID equals whatever the user's summoner ID is. Then we're going to do a left join on the... Do I need to do a left join? I might not need to do a left join. Because, let me see. I do know that I need to do a left join because there's a couple fields from the other table that I can use. Yeah, I can use although, yeah, it's gonna get a little tricky because we have two tables, but my idea when thinking about how to do this, I thought maybe there should be one table that contains all the games just once, and then another table where it contains all the user stats for all their games. Maybe that's not the way to go about things, but it makes the most sense in my head. Yeah, so again, I'll keep talking about this next time I stream, which probably, if not tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday for sure. And next stream, I'll also demo that card game I worked at the hackathon, so you guys can check that out, and I can get your ideas on the game or your impression. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions before I head out. Thanks for being here, Little Smith. I hope you're doing good in college. Yeah, dude, I lost my voice there for a second. I think it has to do with the weather. I have this issue, and my dad has this issue too, where if he talks for so long, he starts losing his voice, like he needs water. So it might be the weather, but I'm sorry about that. The other day I was actually in TeamSpeak talking to one of the guys I met at the Riot hackathons, and I lost my voice from talking for like 4 hours. Let me see if those guys are on.
Connected. Disconnected.
But yeah, that would do it for tonight. It's not that hard. You'll definitely learn a lot. Let me see if we have the code for PHP for inserting shit. It's not here, so I'm gonna have to import it from one of my other projects. But I have a class I made that you can use for doing SQL and PHP. All right. Yeah, thanks for joining, and I will see you next time, Little Smith. Everyone else, I'll see you next time. So that's nicer. Thanks for joining. All right, good night, guys.